Welcome to Mailroom, our show that takes us girls inside the mind of the opposite sex by going straight to the source. This is a really special episode that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, where we're going to interview cancer survivors. And as you guys know, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we're doing a campaign called the Million Mammogram Challenge, which is launching October 1st. And I wanted to do a Mailroom episode featuring my fellow cancer survivors. And I believe on this couch, we have a total of 3 balls. Is it true?
That is correct.
Okay, amazing. We're going to get into that in more detail. I mean, not that much more detail. But we are going to talk about dating with cancer. Like, when do you tell someone? When do you not? If you've been in a relationship while you're going through it, what does that look like? And the comedy of it all, and also anything serious we want to talk about. We can definitely go deep too, pun intended. Okay, so let's start with intro. So I'd love to go around and have you guys introduce yourself with your name, age, just your cancer story, and what you're up to now.
Yeah.
Starting with you.
I'm Daniel. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2016. I had stage 2 testicular cancer. Treatment in 2016 and 2017, and have been in remission ever since. And I work in real estate, have a real estate investment fund.
Amazing.
Cool.
Congrats to both of you.
Oh, that's it. There's the plug.
Good man.
If you want to invest, just talk to Johnny. He's going to take care of all those details for us.
Trust this man. I trust him with anything. Give him my house keys.
Love it.
And my name's Johnny. I'm a testicular cancer survivor as well. We actually all met through the same nonprofit. I've been very grateful to be involved with a nonprofit called Immerman Angels, which introduces somebody with any form of cancer to another person who's been through the same type of cancer, but maybe years ahead, and can share knowledge and insights and friendship, like we all have, with somebody who's just beginning that journey.
Johnny is the most humble man because
he
says we all met through a nonprofit, and it's a nonprofit that he started.
Yeah, were you the
team.
founder of the Urban
It's a team.
Angels?
But it's a team of survivors, over 15,000, almost 16,000 survivors now worldwide, under 120 countries. But guys like these two, all of us, guys like these two, and Mindy, all of us have been through cancer. Plus Mindy. So all of us can mentor people with the same cancer, same age, same gender, same exact person, straight one-on-one.
And you started that because you felt like that was a need.
I felt when I was diagnosed in 01, I'm 49 now, so I'm pretty old, but when I was diagnosed in 01, I like these young spry people next to me. But when I was diagnosed, yes, and things weren't the same. In 2001, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no social media, and I didn't know anyone who was a survivor, and I was scared, and I was a gym every day guy, and I'm like, can I go to the gym? Can I not on chemo? Can I, what should I eat on chemo? What should I not eat? Like dating, sex, all these questions you just don't know. And I'm like, wouldn't it be really easy if I just chatted with a guy who's actually been through this before?
Did you ask James?
Yeah. I did not. I don't think it was around then. Was it? Oh, what?
Okay, moving on.
Hi, I'm Ben Freeberg. I am 31. I was diagnosed with cancer coming up on 8 years ago. I was a bit better than Dan at it. I was diagnosed at stage 3, also testicular.
Just one-upped you. Also,
He's got to get something, He has one win.
I am an investor in Dan's fund, as you all should be. And Sonia, how is that? This is called ROI. And I met both Mindy and Dan through Johnny and through his work at the nonprofit. And I now have a cancer-focused venture fund called Oncology Ventures to invest into the next generation of hopefully cancer startups that are going to improve care and access and treatment.
Amazing. And what kind of startups?
So all on the data side. So the idea is that we're at a point where there's an unbelievable amount of evidence-based medicine, new therapies out there, but people aren't getting access to it. People are getting diagnosed with cancer too late. People aren't getting matched with the right clinical trials. There's health equity issues. So trying to solve a bit of that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone's giving back. Now, what about my burning question is, when you guys were recovering as far as dating and relationships, at what point did you tell people that you were sick?
Were you in a relationship?
I was in a relationship during it.
Okay.
I was maybe 6 dates in, but it was like a serious 6 dates in. So that was an interesting call to make. And then she was awesome during it. So I was dating someone during cancer and then for a couple of years after. And then after that, I used to have a rule where I wouldn't talk about it until the second date because it's just so like it's just especially people that haven't been around someone with cancer.
Right.
They have no idea, and then you have to make them feel better. And that's really frustrating. And then they start crying, and that normally happens much later in the day normally. So it's.
Or did you ever let?
I was gonna say that had nothing to do with the cancer, but
exactly. You'll get that at the drive home. But then I stopped doing a rule.
If you didn't with your 2-date rule,
Yeah.
did you ever not tell someone and then like maybe a hand went down there or something and they were like, oh, or like, did you ever not tell someone in advance and you just let it be and then see what they do? We got a yes here.
I genuinely, do you think that girls can tell the difference?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
I 100%.
What are you talking about? There's 2 of them.
No, they can't.
But everyone's focused on
girls
themselves.
No, exactly.
Honestly,
They're not thinking about, like, they would never notice.
And I would notice.
more than
you
one.
think you would?
You would not.
You wouldn't.
I mean, I
you.
wouldn't care.
We all agree.
Let's play America's favorite game.
Okay, so in that case, so in that case, no one ever. What did you say?
HR.
Okay, so in that case though, no one noticed. You just like let that happen, and then no one said anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would never know. Yes.
No one notices.
Because you
There
didn't.
have
None
been-
of you got a prosthetic.
No.
Yeah,
And there have been more than one time where like after. Thanks, man. There's so many times like, all right, slow down, bud.
Many times.
Where like even after sex, you just say like, so did you notice that I only have one testicle?
Okay.
And people have no idea.
So in that conversation, and in a little more seriousness, they say no, I didn't notice, and then you share with them, and have you had mixed reactions, or would you have wanted someone to show up differently, or is it maybe more bonding because you shared it and they really want to know, or you can see how they show up?
It's really way less big of a deal than I thought it would be when I first got diagnosed. Like no one cares.
How so?
100%.
Just like
We're all
I don't think women really care about balls that
They
much.
do not.
Like you can.
Or
I'm gonna have to
No,
ask
you-
you.
You are you're sitting on the couch.
I can't wait for the
I'm
comments.
kidding. I'm ball agnostic.
But like
That's good.
it's just like it's not like it changes not like it changes sex in any
Okay.
way. So like
Exactly.
Okay.
it's just like
It has been,
okay then.
It's been said by
That must
some
have been
girls
hard.
that less is more. Even they think it's better.
Oh, wait
Not
a
that I'm tooting
second.
our own horns
That-
here,
wait a
but
second.
less is more, right? It's like there's too
Johnny.
much stuff going on there anyway for some girls. Where I think that having one versus two is just less for them to
Less
do.
complicated, less for them to do.
Simplify.
Johnny's in marketing.
Yeah. Wow, he's on the ball committee.
He's found the spin.
Yeah.
You really want to deal with two of these things?
Better.
Wait a second. I think you're onto something. This could be like a ball rebrand that you're
I
doing.
mean,
Yeah, one is more than enough. Anyway, I'll let you figure that out. I think from my standpoint, I've had a really different experience. I've had some guys be so open to it and like, wow, I want to know more. And I do find guys are very simple. So they're just like, great, let me see them. Like big boobs. Yes, that sort of thing. And then I have seen some insensitivity of like, oh, I'd rather not talk about this right now, or like, something deeper, which I am empathetic toward. But at one point someone said to me like, well, my mom got really sick with breast cancer, so I couldn't date someone who had it, which I actually do get that. I caught mine really early, so I'm, very like vigilant about my health. And if that is truly how someone feels and they're, they don't want to be in hospitals and then that's something I can't change. But for a little while, I was a bit like gun shy, and I have a second date rule where I don't want to like over identify with it. So I don't want to come in and be like, I'm a cancer survivor, because that's like I've been saying, like it's part of my story, but it's not the story. And
It's not the star.
it's not the star of my story. Thank you.
And people are going to see those ads.
Yeah, people are going to see a lot of this. Yeah, for the
Proud of you.
cause.
We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Well,
Takes a
because
lot of
there's
courage.
Yeah.
there's some which I think girls do more than guys do, where you don't say like, oh, how was your date with Johnny? You say, how was your date with like black cap guy? And so you don't
Yeah.
want to be. And there was a few times where like went out with friends of friends, and they were like, oh, how'd it go with cancer guy? And I was like, okay, I have to stop
Yeah.
talking about it early on, because that's like, you don't want to be.
No, you should
Cancer
be.
guy.
No, you could be like Johnny the Uniballer. Also a better,
Yeah.
better.
There's some great
brand.
nicknames. Nice.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Cajone is another one. You guys know that one, right?
No.
You should use this for some of your material on stage. Obi-Wan Cajone.
He does need help. I saw him do stand up last week.
He does stand up.
Oh,
on
and
the
you do
side.
stand up too.
It was not good. Yeah.
Do you ever talk about this in stand up, or do you just
It's some of my best material.
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you?
Seems good.
What do you?
Google
What's the
me.
shtick?
Google this.
Yeah. Well, I think testicular cancer is funny. And there's also a bunch of parts of it where, like, going through it, you have to follow a pregnant woman diet. Like, that is what my oncologist told me. And I remember hearing that and being like, if a young 24-year-old guy is having to follow a pregnant woman diet, like, if that's not funny, cancer's got to be
Right.
really tough.
Yeah, like not only are
Yeah.
they taking one of my testicles, but now I'm also a pregnant woman. This is fantastic.
Totally.
At the same time.
And so there's so much.
Yeah.
for,
Doctors
like,
can do anything.
yeah, the way like people deal with it and react, and it's fun.
Yeah.
You have to have humor, right? I mean, we all know
true.
this. All
It's
of
really
us, all
true.
four of us. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not laughing during parts of this, it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure, like, for you, as you said, there were like some people that had bad reactions. Like, there's a level at which it's self-selecting. Like, if someone has a bad reaction, it's like, all right, cool. Like, not the
Right.
person.
Yeah. It's like an unintentional test.
Right.
And I've seen like amazing sides of guys that I've dated too. Like they want to help. They want to. Some sort of have come in with like a hero mentality, which I just had to like suss out. Like, is this for you or for me? And I'll take it. But
Right.
you know,
What's broken in your past?
right.
man?
Yeah, it's true. But I also had some really funny dating moments. Like for me, you probably didn't have this, but when I went through my last surgery and I had the implants put in, sometimes they just like cramp up all of a sudden. So if I'm on a date and all of a sudden I just have to like move them around and grab them, and all I have to do is just massage myself. So on a date, like
While
a first
maintaining eye
date,
contact.
while maintaining eye contact, it turns out it's
job.
turns out it's like
You're
a
saying
bit
you
of
have
a
two
turn on. But no, I had all these little hacks. So one of the things I would do is I would wear a scarf. It was like cold for that time frame, so I was lucky. So I'd wear a scarf, and when I'd feel it coming out, I'd put the scarf on, and when they're talking, I'm just like, yeah. And I don't think they could tell, but it worked. Or I would like get up and be like, I'll be right back. But you had to like get it in the moment. So I just did like a little like that. And then yeah, certain things like I couldn't dress myself for a little bit, so I'd walk into a date and have like half of my shirt or like dress unzipped, or I had my doorman one time like do it because I couldn't. I was stuck in there. Yeah. So there's things like that yeah, comedy really helps, and then other times it's obviously, you know, can be tough. But the dating part was something I found fascinating, and I feel like no one's talking about that. And it can be really funny and it can be intense. And the sharing part is something that always interests me, and when to tell someone and when to go there.
I think kind of what you're
question-
touching on, just
Yeah.
to kind of like zone in on it. I think it's a filter for a lot of people. And I think, you know, this campaign, which you're bravely doing to show a picture of yourself and showing what mastectomies look like and reconstruction and encouraging women to get 1 million mammograms, a beautiful thing. But like the people that are drawn to that, I mean, the women should be doing that, but the men who might be drawn to that, or the women or whoever everyone's dating is drawn to guys like us who've been through cancer. I think it's a filter once they know, because people that are okay with knowing you went through a life and death thing and they're still in there with you are probably going to be with you through most things, right? Through most hard things. Like, what's going to be harder than this? And there's a study out there that says that 90% of people who've been through cancer, any type, will say it's the number one largest traumatic event and hardest thing mentally of their life.
Yeah.
90% plus of those people.
And that's what you were what Johnny was so good at, I remember like was one of the first things we talked about, is one of your goals of making cancer easier to talk about, because people can, and this is why I love that you're doing this, because people feel, so the amount of times people will be like, I'm so sorry, like, do you mind me asking what type of cancer you have?
Right.
It is, people are so nervous to even get to that first stage. Like, how are you supposed to have any conversation around what a mastectomy, like, oh my God, how do you, did I say that the right way?
Nailed it.
In this literal business.
Invest in his fund.
I'm in there. We're oversubscribed. And so,
See that? He knows how to get it done. This guy gets it done.
so, but like, how are you supposed to have that conversation around what that feels like or is like if people can't even ask you what type of cancer you had? And so that's, I think, like, if this could be some small part of that, really.
I think sometimes people will say, and maybe you guys experience this, people will say like, well, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is like early days, or when I was telling them like, I'm not sure what to say. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So let me know if either you want like a pep talk, or just listen, but I don't know what to say. And I think that's like so refreshing, because they're just being real and they're saying something instead of like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, you know, changing the subject or.
Yes, definitely like this, exactly, where people like don't know how or what to ask. And like, I don't know, you can't blame, if it's not normal for you, then it feels like you don't know exactly what to do, whether it's cancer or anything else. And I think what you're doing is trying to normalize and make the conversation like something that is not something that you have to like be on eggshells walking around.
Not to plug my own stuff, but I wrote a post on College Adventure Substack about what to about what to do if you have a friend or a loved one fighting cancer. A lot of people have come me after, because it's a lot of like the bar is set so low. Just be there, just listen, like don't make them feel bad. Like the amount of people that I have genuinely had to confront, like where I'm like, I'm so sorry that I like ruined your night with like my cancer stuff, like that's so inconsiderate of me. People like make you feel like that. Well, which is really tough.
Probably shouldn't have gotten cancer.
No, and then when I was deciding whether or not to do it, I didn't think about that. So that's hard.
I also think like younger people and testing is something that I've heard from a lot of women and guys too. Like guys going to the doctor seems to be such an ordeal, or like, I'm cool. Like, I don't know if it's outdated that guys like asking for directions, but like guys getting tested and going to the doctor seems like a lot of guys are like, oh yeah, I went to the doctor like 5 years ago. It's cool. And for girls, especially girls who are single, I find that a lot of them don't want to know the news. Like they don't want to know, especially if they don't have a partner, because they feel like I'm going to look different. I'm going to feel different. So I'm just going to wait. I don't want to actually know. And so part of what I'm trying to do is show the other side that can still be feminine and that you can still date and, you know, and actually get to know the right people through the process. But what do you guys think about like younger people and maybe not getting tested, whether it's like a pride thing with guys or with women being more scared?
I don't know if it's pride as much as like anxiety and stupidity. I can speak for, I guess, just the men. I don't know if it's the same thing. Remember, like most people, like I bet, there's no way to know, but like I bet I have stage 2 because I said, this will go away. It'll be fine for like 2 months. Like, you know, testicles started getting larger and I'm like, that's strange, but like that'll resolve. I mean, so some people.
Sorry.
So it's good.
Fingers crossed, please.
But it's common. I think it's common.
So like, I think for both you guys, like you had like the sudden stomach pain, right?
Yeah. Well, ball pain, like felt like someone took a knife. And Mindy can't relate exactly, or women, because you don't have this organ. The men can. It felt like literally out of the blue, like that. Someone took a knife and stabbed me in my left nut.
Yeah.
Worst pain in my life. I doubled over.
Yeah. Right. And I know you had something acute too. So like a lot of times when people get testicular cancer, like there's something acute that happens and that's when people go into the hospital. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that. I just watched my balls slowly get larger over the course of months. And I'm like, well, it doesn't appear to be getting smaller. And my girlfriend, who I lived with at the time, was like, it's time to go in. And we went in.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
She got you. 90% of people will say there's no pain with testicular cancer. So you're in the 90, and then you had a little pain. Do you have a little pain too?
I had blood clots. Well, I went into the hospital. I think I've told you guys that. I went into the hospital I think almost like to the day stage 1 because I passed out at a dinner.
Oh.
And I was sober. I was just
Good clue.
at a dinner.
Yeah.
And so I went to the hospital and they did like tests and scans and they were like, "You're fine. You're overreacting."
Wow.
And I was like, "Overreacting to what? Like I'm healthy, young, whatever. I shouldn't be passing out."
Right.
But like, I was 24. Like I don't want to spend time in a hospital, so I went home.
Right.
And then almost a year to the day later, I went to the emergency room because I had a blood clot in my lung caused by the tumors, which had spread throughout my whole body.
Wow.
Which was so frustrating because if someone had just like, which is what we're trying to invest in, because I was there, I was at the point of care complaining about something that should have been caught by a test.
Yeah.
And in New York City with good health insurance.
Like a blood, like a blood.
And blood, like it should have been someone doing some form of their job would have saved me multiple surgeries, blood clots, chemo, probably, right? Like I think a lot of, if you find it at stage 1, I don't think you need chemo. I think you can just do surgery.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
radiation, and that's it.
it would have been like, who knows, like if I'd be doing this now and all of that other stuff, but
It's true.
Yeah.
all else being equal, it would have been nice to not do that. So,
I have
go into the doctor. There's six cancers that are detectable early.
There are
6, 7.
Oh, for solid tumors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. I mean, there's a lot that can be detected early, and a lot that show up. Not a lot, not everyone, but some show up in the blood, just like our cancer, testicular. Or breast cancer does not show up in the blood.
Yeah. Well, with mine, I ended up, I had like some dry skin, and I went to a huge hospital group here in New York. And initially, the woman, I had told her like, "Hey, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm assuming I would just put like, you give me some sort of like topical thing." And she said to me, "Well, actually today I have a group of 10 students that are shadowing me. Is it possible that I bring them in?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? They can all take a look." And then there's all these opinions. So I flashed the whole, now I guess 11 people with the doctor.
Well, you're about to go way bigger than
Yeah,
Well
that's
done.
true. That was a
played.
practice round for me.
Right.
And so
Warm up.
the woman is saying to them, "Okay, we may have some breast trauma," and they're all looking closely, and I'm just like, it's a great story, but like, okay. They come back, they call it dermatitis, which you could have for any reason in any part of your body, a skin issue. They gave me like an ointment, put it on, left. Months later, I'm like, this is weird. It feels the same. How can 10 students who should be overachieving at that point, as the well-known doctor, not catch this? Then I went to get a mammogram and get like an annual. And they said, you're too young. You don't really need a mammogram. You have no family history. And also, they like feel you up. She's like, I don't feel anything. You have like dense breasts and you have some cysts. But if you wanted to get a mammogram for like good measure, you could, but you really don't need it. So I don't suggest it. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to like travel, go on a trip, maybe like a month or two, I'll just do it. So then in between, I go to a different dermatologist, older guy, different practice. And this guy catches it within 5 minutes and says, I think this might be this rare form of a skin thing. If this dermatologist did not catch this thing that I thought was not what it was, I would have waited months and months and put it off. And so that's also why I'm doing the Million Mammogram Challenge, because and what it is just really having women go to the site and sign up. They don't even have to go to the site. They can just see the program and just, if that reminds them to make their own appointments with whoever they want, amazing. If they go to the site, they can click and it will bring them to a platform where they can just make an appointment with any doctor, any insurance. So yeah, I mean, that's a long-winded way of saying that I think even for women, sometimes they think I should be much older, I should have family history or symptoms and feel a lump. And the type that I had was what they say calcified. I like to say sprinkles on a sundae, to just paint a different picture. But it was throughout, so it couldn't be resolved any other way. And so there were no symptoms really for me except that one thing. So yeah, I think in the spirit of just being proactive, not worrying, but, being like vigilant about your health and whether you're male or female.
What you described, I said like lazy or stupidity for why I didn't do it. Like what you just said, I mean, people to do the work of trying to set up a doctor's appointment for something that causes you anxiety and figuring out how to get through the healthcare system when you're scared of what the information might have, makes it like those are all just barriers to getting people to do what they should do. So like what you described in terms of like you just scan a QR code and you can like set an appointment immediately. Yeah. I think that's huge because it just makes the more steps you're able to take out of like getting the treatment done or getting the screening done and just sitting on your phone scrolling through Instagram, the better it is.
Yeah. And actually, we did this with ZocDoc. So ZocDoc has a list of all the doctors in different areas. It's not like biased by group. It could even be for some people, if they're in between working or not, there's out-of-pocket options that aren't that expensive. Some start at, I saw some doctors at like $250. So, and I hope that's changing, but, I'm trying to make it really simple. And then I also, created this other thing as part of the program called Mamosas. And so, the whole idea is similar to what you were saying, Johnny, like not going through it alone, is I started bringing a friend to all my appointments. I even brought like a date once and even like a new friend. I had a new guy friend that I was not interested in vice versa. We were just friends, but none of my other friends could join. And he had mentioned like, if you ever need someone to go with you. So I'm like,
he was
hey.
interested in you. Guys don't do stuff like that as friends.
Had I known. But so the best part is the guy says, yes, I'm in. He comes with me. I get a biopsy. Okay. And the doctor comes out. She says, oh, I hope you don't mind, but I just went and I explained to your boyfriend about your breasts and some of the next steps. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. But that's not my boyfriend. That's just my friend. So, and then that was great. And then Johnny actually came with me to pick out the new ones. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Johnny, I'd like for you
that's
to
actually
join.
really fun.
Well, so you think. You think that would be fun. Yeah. Well, I did reach out and I'm like, Johnny, come help me pick them out. I was so excited. I'm like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. I've earned them. Like, let's pick out the right size. You know, I'm like small but mighty, but like, what do I want? Like full wrapped? I want like a little guy. I don't know, but I want your input. And so
middle of the road.
We get
I do that most Tuesdays, right?
He's a professional breast consultant.
Every Tuesday.
So we went through the pros and cons of different sizes. But then what I found was all of the images that they showed us were these old women with like huge ones sad, like and it was like jarring. I actually gave them some feedback. Like, could you show some younger models? Because I was excited. Yeah. And I thought this was going to be like a, Build-A-Bear.
Because they should be showing someone that's similar in age, right? It's going to be different. Their bodies are different at 75 or 80
right.
versus somebody who's young. I mean, that's a great feedback for them.
Yeah. That's why I gave it. But I always felt like bringing a friend was a good hack because, an old friend you're comfortable with, and even just like a new friend, because it's a new vibe, like you're not even talking about cancer. It's just like, oh, what's your name again?
What was the most fun part? Was that the most fun part of your cancer experience?
No.
I mean, that was fun. I think what was fun was a lot of the doctors that I met day one were like, hello, my name is Dr. whoever.
You had to get them to laugh. That was your challenge.
I just needed them. I needed them to just not make me feel like everything was over. I needed to feel like, and one of my doctors was like, hello, how are you? And by one of the last appointments, he's like, so are we doing double D's or what? This is what my guy and a doctor. I mean, to be fair, he was like very professional, but like I warmed him up, I'm like, I don't want you to make me feel like this is so heavy. Yeah. I'm going to like be positive most days and be sad other days. But when I'm up, like, I don't want to walk into a waiting room and hear that music and like see that video. I think the most fun is actually now because I feel like I went from like, I had some shame about it.
of just like getting used to the scars. And now like I'm used to them. I'm like proud of them. And I think now I can give back more. Like if someone says, oh, my friend has breast cancer, and I'm like, have her call me. And I know exactly what I'm going to say. I'm going to listen and hear how she's feeling. And then I know what I would have wanted to hear. And especially when it comes to like dating and relationships, some of these girls I talk to are like, I'm never showing anyone, and I'm until it's perfect. And, I'm hopeful that based on some of my experiences and the positive ones that I can share, that it inspires them more than they're, as afraid. What about you guys? What was the most fun part?
That's a really good question. I mean, I have one that immediately comes to
Oh,
mind.
great.
Please. That's it.
Although the funniest thing, just as an aside, was we found out like 2 or 3 years after my treatment that we actually had the same oncologist
Oh, no
I
way.
think
from
That's
Michigan
right. Chicago.
to Chicago.
And I was
She's
living in
seen both
Chicago.
of your
Yeah.
She has. She's felt us both out.
Eskimo sister.
She does, and the female oncologist, so she did the same thing to you. She would check the one ball you still have. That's what they do. We are higher risk to get it in the other ball.
Okay.
I'm sorry, keep going.
Undoubtedly, at least while going through the experience, you have to make sperm. And I was treated at Northwestern, which I don't know, like in Chicago. It's in the middle of downtown Chicago. It's a block from the lake. It's beautiful. It's just like a fantastic hospital. So as part of treatment, I was required to go into this brand new hospital building, go up to the top floor, have an
Penthouse.
acute nurse hand me a cup, give me a room where they had porn set up in the room.
No way. Like videos?
Yeah, videos.
And you just
then-
pick which one, or just
Yeah, you get your whole selection.
Choices.
how graphic?
And I don't even remember what I watched. Good question though. Ben so disappointed. Yeah.
You do.
Is that it?
First of all,
Yeah.
he 100% remembers what he watched.
Right.
We're gonna start. The viewers are gonna guess, and their imagination is probably worse than what it is.
Yeah.
We'll let him guess.
The spank bank is that what you call it?
And then
There
we go. But then, like, you get out of the room, you can see Lake Michigan from the
What a
top floor,
feeling.
and you go down, and there's a Stan's Donuts on the first floor. So you get a donut on the way out, and I was like, well, if this is what cancer is going to be like, I'm here for it.
Do you still go back and try to recreate that experience now that you're?
Yeah, I keep knocking,
like,
but
"Sir."
they're like, "Sir, you are 7 years in remission. You gotta stop coming here." I've actually made a point a couple of times of going back. There was a woman on the chemotherapy floor who was just like the nurse who admitted me. He was just so sweet. So like I have, when going back to Northwestern for checkups, multiple times gone back to that floor, gone up to see her and just say thank you.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I've not masturbated. Just said
Okay,
thank
that
you
was
to
the follow-up
nurse.
question.
Yeah.
Ben, not buying it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. What's the most fun you had?
What's the question?
Yeah.
What's the question again? Is
What's the most fun?
memorable, the most fun?
Fun or funny
I
part
gotta-
of your
Yeah,
experience?
fun or funny.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at my whole, again, I was diagnosed in 01, so it's been a couple decades here. Like, for me, the best part of this is the community. Friendships with guys like you, with humans. We were friends before. And we actually met because of our cancers, right? Because of the organization. And so that's what I look at as like one of the most positive things are all of us working together. You're sharing stories. Everyone's helping each other. Everybody rises. But the friendships that you make. And it's not like we're talking about like, is Aaron Rodgers going to play in the Jets this year? Like, you're not talking about surface level stuff. You're talking about life and death stuff, which it is. It really
Like
is.
whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to play.
That is life and death. For a New York fan, see, we're not from New York. He's from New York. It is life and death. I get it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend. I love Aaron Rodgers.
Couldn't name more than 4 football players.
Ben, any good funny story?
One, that sperm banking experience for me was completely different. So because they had to start chemo right away, and so I was in the hospital, and so I couldn't leave for however many days. And so they were like, well, before we start chemo, you should bank sperm. And I was like, okay. And they're like, okay, so here you go. And all of my family was like there in the waiting room, and friends were coming or whatever. And I was like, I'm not doing this here. And they're
This is weird.
Come on, Ben.
they're like,
You're like, where's the porn?
they're like, okay, so I went to a different floor, to a bathroom, a hospital bathroom. I couldn't do it.
Under pressure, that's a lot.
It was,
all
it was,
mental.
it
It's
was
mental.
everyone in my life was there
Right,
and
they're
knew
like,
what I was
you have
going
cancer.
to do.
Like, just go.
Also,
out.
I just found out I had cancer. Also,
Yeah, a lot
that
on
was
your
like,
mind.
it was so not the setting, and so I couldn't do it.
You weren't
so I
turned
had
on
to.
in that moment, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So that wasn't funny.
So he called me. That got him
My
going.
funniest. There was one.
Yeah, say it. This is great. Okay.
No, it's more like the climate we're in politically right now.
Okay.
But anyway, there was this. We were playing this game. We had like a party room on the chemo floor. Like people would come and hang out. It was awesome. And we'd have like other people who were going through it come and hang out and play games with us. And there was one game that got like really intense. And I remember at like 2 a.m. or whatever it was, like one of my friends like literally standing on the table like in this chemo floor, yelling, saying like whatever, like that he was right and the other person was wrong. And the nurses like came and were like, "We love this. This is the line. Like this is the line of what is
Party got
probably
broken up.
inappropriate." And so we had to just tone it down. But it was really fun because like it was a bunch of people like it felt like regular life, which was really awesome until it was. That's like such a vivid memory in my life. But anyway,
Can you imagine breaking up a party of people that have cancer?
she felt so. She was like, I'm genuinely so sorry.
Yeah.
I
People might need to sleep in there. Yeah.
Like every part of it. But it was really fun.
Yeah. Did you guys ever think that maybe you'd like have a rom-com moment in a hospital? Or maybe that's just me. But when I was put under, my sister told me I woke up and one of my first few words was, where are all the hot docs? And she was
Love
like,
that.
she's going to be just fine.
You're
But I've
genuine to
never
the
had
core.
like, I had this dream of like
That's deep.
the knight in the white coat that was going to come in.
Did it ever happen?
No, my doctors were like old. I mean, I'd rather them be older and experienced, but maybe like one hot resident that was a little older than like a 20-something-year-old that would just come in and then we'd fall in love and he'd see me at my worst or like getting back to my best, but accept me and love me at any stage. But no, I had a lot of amazing, helpful people, but that was a bit disappointing.
Were you?
I guess it was just me. Maybe
Were
it's
you
a girl
both?
thing.
So you were single when you were going through it?
I was.
Yeah.
I was dating a bit off and on, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was single.
Were you guys as well?
I was in a relationship
When you? Well, you said you were 6.
starting
Right.
to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that. That might be more of a girl feeling than a guy. I guess there's like,
I mean, you guys could have like a hot nurse thing, maybe potentially, but
sexist.
I'm guessing that didn't. Well, I'm saying you all. I feel like
Speaking of the political
climate,
you're canceled.
It's awesome to be on the mailroom's last episode. That's a really cool thing.
we speak the truth on the show.
Well done. Well,
you
I'm
stay
saying
in that
a
relationship?
qualified nurse.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
see, I gained 40 pounds. Like, I remember being
What?
like so, I know it's weird,
I
right?
also gained weight during chemo.
Yeah, we're unusual.
I also gained
Must
weight,
be
but not 40.
oncologists. That's a thing in common.
Well, just
That's unusual.
It's not being healthy. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, just eating like whatever you can, and you're just like whatever you can get down, and and we're not exercising, so I
Yeah.
feel like you're not burning calories as much. But the average person actually loses 40 pounds. I gained 40. How much do you think you gained?
Just like, I don't know, 10 or 15, but just like, eating like shit because you feel like shit and then not
Well, like
exercising.
comfort food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not exercising.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, my self-esteem and the way I looked in the mirror, I remember days I would cry. Because you look in the mirror and be like, who is that person?
Real
looking
men
back at me?
cry.
Real men cry.
Honey.
Women listen to that.
Take
It's true.
notes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a filter. And that, I mean, it comes back to what you were saying earlier, a little bit about like filtering, filtering people, that like being open and being real. And, I think for a lot of us, your self-esteem is just lower. The way you feel like you look is not your best. When you're going through, you have no eyebrows, no eyelashes, and no hair. Definitely
Did
no.
you lose your hair?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
I never saw photos.
Was that it? Is
We had
that
like a
piece?
party where my cousins came over and shaved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
that's
a good
fun.
guy here, man. Crew back credit.
Yeah.
Both you guys have here till like 100.
Get a room.
You too.
Oh,
Not me.
Uh,
Mine was going in the early days. About 22, 23 when I got diagnosed.
Okay, so guys, sadly,
Yes.
we are at time. Any last closing
Lightning round?
remarks? Well, typically we do have a segment called Just the Tip. So if you guys want to give your tip to all the ladies out there, usually it's dating perspective and advice, but if there's anything, maybe we just spin it a little bit. Like, I mean, you could make it, like I said, in dating, and if there's anything you think women should know.
I'll do cancer advice. And I think, and we should also talk about this after, but so we invest into a company called Gabby, GABBI, and they will give you a risk assessment for free online and tell you, because as you met, like different women who maybe have dense breast tissue, sometimes a mammogram doesn't capture it. And it's 100% go get your mammogram done. And also, and they just lowered the age requirements. And so there's also
We know the new age.
yes, it's younger than it was.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
It's very specific.
We'll edit that in post. I think it's below 40 now. I think it's 35.
Great.
It's definitely younger.
And you could edit his whole just Dan talking out.
I have the concept of a plan.
Let's not get political. Concept of a plan.
So anyway, sometimes you should be getting a mammogram. Sometimes you should be getting a breast MRI and genetic testing.
That's good.
And so I would say that's just like a big, understanding your risk profile, etc. And then the other piece that you also mentioned is and one of the reasons why I think people don't get screened and tested is people are really nervous about how much it's going to cost. And a lot of preventative care and screening is covered, almost all of it, and it should be, but you have to go through, like, when that doctor wasn't going to give you a mammogram, they would have to submit for, it's called a prior authorization request in order to do so, and that sometimes gets denied, which is really frustrating. And so if there's any political people here, stop that.
Johnny, any
And sign up for
just the
Mermaid
tips?
Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mermaid Angels, anyone sick with cancer, we'll find you a survivor, and survivors, it's a way to give back, like all of us too.
And if you don't have it, you can tell a friend that it's out there. And
Totally.
yeah.
And like Ben said earlier, let's encourage everybody to go in. Get checked early. That's what, Mindy, you're doing with the mammogram campaign. It's about finding things early. It's a different fight. And Ben, you were saying that earlier, like you found this at stage 1. It is maybe no chemo. I mean, it's that big of a difference if you get things early.
Trying to steal my fire.
Yeah.
Because
He's smarter,
I
quicker,
noticed.
faster.
I was gonna.
ahead.
He always does. I mean, how could you possibly compete? I'm gonna say the same thing. I mean, like, of all people, I feel like I should have been more proactive. My mom died of cancer less than a year before I got diagnosed. Her mom had a double mastectomy. She had a double mastectomy. My aunt had a double mastectomy. Like, I have cancer just like riddled throughout my family, and like, even this is why I said like anxiety and like not wanting to find out answers as if that's going to make the thing not happen.
Exactly.
And like dealing with the hospital system and like having to book appointments to like do something that's scary,
Yeah.
I think stops people from doing what they should so obviously do. And just like whether or not you get tested doesn't change the outcome of whether or not you have it. And it's just
Right.
like the best insurance policy you could take on your own life to be getting checked early and regularly.
Definitely. I guess for mine, I would say, I forgot to tell you guys this part, but I've had a few experiences where a guy will be like, oh, nice fake boobs. Like, when did you get those? Like, how did you? And I think to myself, like,
He's a keeper.
yeah. Naturally.
Good
Yeah.
one.
I'm like, he's here. He's arrived.
My print.
But I think to myself, like,
I love her guy voices. What she does.
does it seem very realistic, my voices? I do think that in that moment, though, I remember thinking, like, wow, like, if you only knew, or I wanted to be like, well, I earned them, but then I don't,
Ooh.
I know, but then I'm not like, I thought that was like a great line, but I'm not like angry about it. And I don't want to, like, if a guy just says something lame like that, like, I don't need to like serve him. Does anyone say served anymore?
like you got okay. Anyway,
I respect.
thank
I
you.
respect,
But yeah,
I
so I'm
respect.
just
Put it on
like,
the billboards.
oh yeah, I would be like, oh yeah, it was a big decision because I didn't want to make it, too heavy, and whether or not I would have like it's kind of like profiling someone because you're like, oh, you're like that fake boob girl, and before I'm like, wouldn't have gotten them. So it's like, sometimes those kind of things happen. And I think it's just having a sense of humor about it and not being too serious. Of course, if it's like anyone's having a bad day and that lands wrong, that's okay too. But I think for me, it was just once I got the news, like getting in the right headspace to know it would be tough, but also like I'm gonna be myself through it. I'm gonna, I did like this going away party for the girls and we casted the old model. And then when people came to visit, I had them sign the cast. As like a little bit of a shrine. So the other thing I did was I created a breast advisory committee because I was not well connected in healthcare and I didn't know the right doctor. So I created like this SWAT team to help me like, okay, this is the best doctor in this, and this is the best doctor in that department. And so I think sometimes it's just like be yourself through it. And if you would network, by day, like just recreate that and do that as part of your plan. So, anyway, well, enough of that. Okay. And
I got one more one.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually,
yeah.
if you're ever dating a guy, or I guess, it goes both ways. If you're a guy going on a date with a girl and they start making jokes about their cancer or cancer in general, like that's your green light that it's okay to make jokes and like have it be funny. Cause there were so many times I'm like, I don't know. I definitely use humor as like a way of coping with like cancer, both my mom's and then my own. But like, there's nothing worse than when you make a cancer joke and people don't know what to do. And like, I should have learned by now to stop making cancer jokes.
Or just make funnier cancer jokes.
Oh yeah, see?
Well, this might
Take
be
it
the
from
problem.
a professional. Guys, this has been very eye-opening.
Sure, my mom's
Thanks
proud.
to come on. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining. All 3 of you. I'm sorry, all 6 of you.
Who needs 2
with your
balls?
plus
Come on,
ones.
who needs it?
Oh, that's funnier.
Thank you. I'm just making up on the fly. Yeah. Seeing what bounces. Anyway.
Hey.
Okay, that's my cue. Thank you guys so much for being here. You're amazing, and I think that just sharing how you did will save a lot of lives, and thank you for that. And ladies, and now gentlemen, we have a lot of mail to go through next time. See you then.
Good work, dude. Good work, bringing
Yay,
it up.
that was so good, you guys.
Good job,
Thank you
man.
so much.